Getting lost in the forest is much simpler than you might expect. I strayed from our campsite, slightly drunk, because I enjoy searching for fungi. I ventured just a bit deeper until, one moment, I glanced back and couldn't spot my spouse or companion at the site. A couple of strides to the left to get my bearings. Hold on, perhaps a few steps that way. Oh no, I shouted for assistance, but the sound didn't travel far. The sun was dipping as I entered, but darkness falls quickly in the dense woods. I freaked out. I bolted. I scolded myself. I kept calling for help repeatedly. I tried to stay composed, but chose to keep moving since it was getting chilly and dark, and I knew I was in serious trouble if I didn't escape before night. I was lost for roughly an hour and a half, the most endless 90 minutes I've ever endured. At last, I heard a vehicle's rumble far off and raced toward it. I nearly wept when I reached a clearing and emerged on a gravel path 3 kilometers west of our camp. Checking a map later, I realized any other direction would have led to endless forest. My spouse and friend said they ventured into the woods shouting my name, but I was likely too distant to hear. I'm not sure what would have happened if that truck hadn't driven by on the service road that evening. I genuinely thought I was done for. Pit bulls. My household has always cherished dogs. I believe the breed was harmless and just misunderstood. My father brought home a pup, and we kept her for 6 years. Adored her, potty trained, no apparent issues, or so we thought. One day, I returned home to find she'd killed our elderly boxer, who'd lived with her daily and was so old she lacked teeth, and was gnawing on her detached leg like a meaty bone. Never again. It sickens me when I see kids playing near these dogs. Motorcycles. No matter how skilled a rider you are, other vehicles share the road, and some are driven by fools. HR, human resources. I'll never place faith in them again. Don't mess with the sea. I was foolishly perched on a rock too near the waves and got pulled in by a surge. I thought I was lost forever, but the ocean eventually tired of me and tossed me back toward rocks like a discarded tissue. Driving through pooled water. Just because the vehicle ahead of you passes through doesn't guarantee you will. Texting while driving. I was about 27, leaving my neighborhood around mid-afternoon, and realized I hadn't messaged a friend about a grad school task. I glanced at my phone, and in 5 to 10 seconds, I veered onto the sidewalk. I was horrified at the thought I could have harmed someone, children, a mother with a stroller, anyone. I never did it again. Years later, I still reflect on that reckless decision that could have ended tragically. Inverted storm surge. This occurs as a hurricane nears a coast. If you look online, you'll see images of folks strolling in shallow, barren beach areas. As the storm approaches, the low pressure in its eye pulls millions of gallons of water away from the shore. It can stretch for miles, depending on the storm's power. Eventually, that water returns with force. I grew up on the Alabama Gulf Coast and walked to the beach as a hurricane approached. I was in middle school, unaware you can't see a hurricane like a tornado. The beach was completely drained. Ignorant of the danger, I walked to the end of a public fishing pier, normally 8 to 9 feet deep. After a few minutes, I'd had enough and started back. About 2/3 toward shore, I felt the ground shake and instinctively ran as fast as I could. I was maybe 20 feet from a jetty, rock stacked to prevent erosion, when a wall of water hit me from behind. It lifted me onto the jetty's top and slammed me down. Miraculously, my sandals floated up and landed near my hands as I clung to the rocks. The water eased enough for me to climb over the jetty and flee the beach. I was so ashamed I never told my mother, sneaking home to shower and change. Years later, in 2017, while living on the Florida Gulf Coast, I saw people walk into Tampa Bay as Hurricane Irma approached. Watching the local news footage gave me real anxiety. I've never gone near the water before a hurricane since. Road rage. A man chased me, threatening to shoot, after I shouted at him while driving. That was the last time I lost my temper on the road.